You know that feeling? Late at night, lonely road, and then you see it, the lights of a gas station? It's supposed to be a safe haven, right? Well, what happens when it's not? We're about to dive into 3 chilling and supposedly true stories that all take place right there, in that one spot that's both so familiar and, as you'll see, so unsettling. See, gas stations are weird places when you think about it. You're just passing through. Everyone's just passing through. It's this constant flow of strangers that makes it the perfect setting for something unexpected, for something terrifying. And in this explainer, we're going to really break down these encounters and figure out why they tap into such a deep, primal fear. All right, so our first story is about a guy named David. He's working the graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., at a gas station that's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I mean, for hours, the only sound is the buzz of the fluorescent lights. You can just feel that heavy, heavy quiet, and it's about to be completely shattered.
The door chimes, and David looks up, and he just freezes. There's a man standing there, just drenched in blood. But the weirdest part, he seems totally calm, almost bored by it all. It's a surreal, horrifying sight, but what really gets to David are the man's eyes. They are just completely, utterly empty.
And look how fast this all goes down. The situation just escalates with this chilling speed. What starts as this bizarre, deeply unsettling moment spirals into a fight for your life in just 8 minutes. That little bit of calm after the man leaves, it's just a trap, setting the stage for when he comes back.
He says this so casually, like he's talking about the weather. It's a sentence that's supposed to sound reassuring, but it does the exact opposite. It confirms David's absolute worst fear. He is standing face to face with a killer.
The man sees David on the phone through the window, and those empty eyes just ignite with rage. In a second, he's back inside, launching himself over the counter, and his hands are around David's throat. In just this moment of pure desperation, David bluffs. He screams that he has a gun. It's a total lie, but it's enough. The attacker pauses just for a second, and then bolts into the night.
So months go by. David, he tries to move on, right? He tells himself it was just some freak thing, a one-off nightmare. But the story isn't over, not by a long shot. The horror is about to change into something way more sinister.
Another visitor shows up one night, but this guy is different. He's in this expensive suit, looking completely out of place. He doesn't look around, doesn't grab a soda. He walks straight to the counter, pulls out a photograph, and slides it over to David. And it's him. It's a picture of the bloody attacker.
Have you ever seen this man before? The question itself is simple, but the way he asks it, his cold, calculating eyes, it's not simple at all. Every single instinct in David's body is screaming at him, lie, and so he does.
I know you're lying. With just those 4 words, the whole threat completely changes. The man turns around and walks out, leaving David alone in that buzzing silence, his mind just racing. Who was that guy? A cop? Or something much, much worse? The not knowing is its own kind of terror.
So, you see what's happening, right? The danger has totally transformed. That raw physical, in-your-face threat is gone, and it's been replaced by something quieter, but maybe even more terrifying. A slow, creeping dread. David isn't fighting for his life anymore. Now, he's fighting for his sanity against an enemy he doesn't even know. Then the stalking starts. It's subtle at first. Just a silver SUV parked across the street from the gas station. It's probably nothing, just a coincidence. But David notices. And then he sees it again. This time, it's in the parking lot of his grocery store. And that feeling of being watched just gets stronger and stronger. The safe little bubble of his life is starting to pop. This is definitely not a coincidence.
This whole psychological game just hits this terrifying peak. The SUV, it's now parked outside his home. His safe space has been breached. Now there is nowhere left for him to hide.
And that's the last straw. It's not just a threat anymore. It's a message delivered right to his living room. David quits his job, he gets a new apartment in a different town, and eventually he moves completely out of state. He is desperate to escape this shadow that's just taken over his life.
Okay, so for our last story, we're at another gas station, another late night, but this time our narrator is a truck driver. He's exhausted, and he pulls over just to get a few hours of sleep before he makes that final push home. So he gets back on the road, and he starts hearing this faint, kind of rhythmic thumping from the back of the truck. He's tired, his brain is on autopilot, he just brushes it off. Probably a loose tool rolling around. It's just annoying, that's all.
All of a sudden, this deafening crack just explodes through the quiet of the cab. And he realizes, with this sickening jolt of terror, that thumping wasn't a tool. It was a person who's been hiding in his truck bed this whole time.
In the aftermath, he starts to piece together the horrifying reality of what just happened. The stowaway runs off into the woods, but he left something behind. This small, wet trash bag. The smell coming off it is just rancid, like rotting meat. And then comes the final, sickening moment of discovery. He looks down and realizes his hands are coated in this thick, red liquid from the bag.
So we've got 3 different stories, 3 different people, but they all point to one single terrifying truth, just how vulnerable we are in these in-between spaces. Late-night gas stations are anonymous, they're isolated, they kind of exist in this limbo state, where the normal rules of the world feel thin and very, very easy to break.
So what makes these stories stick with us? What makes them so unsettling? It's the fact that they're not finished. We're left with all of these huge, unanswered questions, and our minds are forced to fill in the horrifying blanks. Because, let's be honest, sometimes not knowing is way, way worse than the truth.
And this gets to the core idea of something called a liminal space. It's just a fancy term for a place of transition, a place between where you were and where you're going. These stories aren't just about bad guys, they're about the unsettling nature of these little cracks in our ordinary world, where for a few terrifying moments, absolutely anything can happen.
And that's the real horror, isn't it? It's the little seed of doubt that these stories plant in your head. A little bit of fear that's going to make you think twice the next time you have to stop for gas late at night. It's a question that's going to stick with you long after this explainer is done.